Let's start with the news of the day. A few quick topics. Grant Delpit, designated to return from injured reserve, Mary Kay. Obviously, a big addition for a defense that is starting to get healthy.
Yeah, it's exciting for the Browns to see a guy like that come back. He's had a really nice season. He was almost playing at a Pro Bowl level at times. He was really flourishing and living up to his potential, his second round status in this Jim Schwartz defense. And, he's a team favorite. Guys love him. He was doing a great job of, being a team spokesman. We talk to him every single week at the podium, and he's just a good guy. He's a good ambassador for the Browns, and he was playing really well. So they're excited to have him back. The good thing is that it gave an opportunity for young guys such as DeAnthony Bell, who Ashley wrote a wonderful takeout on, for DeAnthony Bell and for Ronnie Hickman, who Jim Schwartz had glowing praise for today, to get out there and get their feet wet, get some playing time, make some big plays, make some impact plays, and establish themselves as starters. I think Ronnie Hickman especially established himself as a future starting safety in the NFL. And he's an undrafted rookie out of Ohio State, so that's really, really cool for him. But everybody's happy to have Grant back, and, he might try to give it a go in Houston.
Yeah, Ashley, we don't know his status yet, but if he were able to come back, obviously that would be a big boost for this team. And also, we'll note that Juan Thornhill was back at practice today as well.
Yeah, I mean, both of those guys have missed time at key points later in the regular season. Juan missed 5 of their last 8 regular season games. Grant, of course, missed the last 4. There was some overlap there that led to the undrafted guys, the rookie and the second-year guy in DeAnthony Bell, having to play a lot of snaps. But she's exactly right. I think I looked yesterday. Ronnie Hickman, if you can believe it, is the highest graded rookie safety in the NFL this year, which is kind of a crazy stat. And again, take PFF grades with a grain of salt. But it just goes to show there wasn't a ton of drop-off in that unit. And I think it showed in their production, but definitely would be key to get Grant Delpit back, especially given his size, his physicality. We all know he's been working really hard to try and come back. And Juan Thornhill, of course, even just to have him around is huge, but to have him out on the field in those key moments because he's been a part of Super Bowl runs before.
Now, some more good news on the injury front. Amari Cooper spoke today. He is still dealing with that heel injury. He did not practice, but he said he would have played on Sunday against Cincinnati, and he's planning to play on Sunday against Houston. So, Mary Kay, nothing really to worry about here with Amari Cooper, even though he's still showing up on that injury report.
Yeah, really nothing to worry about with Amari. If Amari is even close to being able to play hurt, he will be out there. When he missed the Jets game, that was only the 3rd game that he had missed in 9 seasons because of injury. It's really remarkable at the position that he plays to be able to be so incredibly durable. So to have him out there is going to mean everything. I mean, look what he did in the first trip to Houston on Christmas Eve. 265 yards, and he was standing over on the sidelines for a little while when they removed all of the starters from the game for a while. So, he believes he could have gone for 300 in that game. Let's see what the Texans have in store for him this game. They're going to have to scheme it up a little bit better than they did last time. I saw Derek Stingley, their number 1 cornerback out of LSU, their first-round pick last year out of LSU, talking about Amari Cooper and how they have to fix things and they have to do things differently than they did last time. They don't play a lot of man. So I don't know exactly what they're going to be able to do differently, but I would think that you would try to have Derek Stingley in the vicinity of Amari Cooper more than he was in the first game. And if they want to try to shut him down or mitigate him at all, they're really going to have to be on point. They're going to have to roll a safety over his way. And even when he is double covered, he's still going to make the catch. I mean, he's just tremendous. He made his 5th Pro Bowl, and, he's just one of the best receivers I know any of us have ever seen. So it's probably still going to be a really big game for Amari, even though he's coming off of this heel injury.
Ashley, he said he couldn't predict what changes the Texans would make in this rematch with him. I don't know what changes I would make either, other than just like throwing my arms up and praying that he won't make some of those spectacular catches this week.
Right. I mean, that's what's so difficult is he's so good. He's obviously that precise route runner. He's got great hands. He's got a great catch radius. But I'm curious to see, we know last time the Browns didn't have to worry about Jonathan Grenard or Will Anderson really at all. I think Jonathan Grenard got hurt on the first drive of that game. So for me, it's almost like less about what they can do with Amari and if they can get that pass rush, if Jonathan Grenard's able to play to pressure Joe Flacco more. And if that can put some pressure on those young tackles that we know the Browns have been trotting out there with good results so far in Jerron Christian and James Hudson III, who are their fourth and fifth starting tackles this season, I think that is really their best chance to stop Amari Cooper at this point. It's got to start from that pass rush, which ironically is kind of like the Browns' whole defensive philosophy.
Now, Myles Garrett was back at practice today too, Mary Kay. He missed Tuesday for personal reasons. He was excused. He was back, but he was still limited today. So is there any concern here with Myles Garrett moving forward?
You know what? I think Myles is at that point in the season where his body is pretty beat up, and they're giving him every opportunity to rest as much as he possibly can. So even though he was not here yesterday, they let him sit today out, and we'll see what happens tomorrow, the last day of practice before the game. And he should talk to us as well. So we'll get a little bit more detail on, how he's doing and wrapping up the season and those kinds of things. But he's dealing with a little bit of the shoulder injury that we've known about, and also a hamstring injury that's been bothering him for the last couple of weeks. He showed up on the injury report with that last week. Of course, didn't play in Cincinnati, rested with the rest of the starters. So he's really had some nice time off now. He should be ready to go. I mean, in practice today, just in the early drills that we were able to see, looked really fast, really explosive. And that's what they're going to need. He's going to be going up against, at times, Laramie Tunsil, the great left tackle of the Houston Texans, but not all the time because they move Myles around and Laramie remains pretty stationary. And so the Browns will switch things up. They won't make Myles go over Laramie every single down. Zadarius will have to do that. There will be times where they put Myles inside to try to free him up a little bit. We'll see how it goes. But this is the time when your big game players have got to step up.
Ashley, obviously, look, Myles plays through a lot. It takes a lot for him to miss games. And this defense, Jim Schwartz had high praise again for Myles Garrett as well, as you'd expect today. If this team is about to make a run, a big piece of it is going to be Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I think a big piece of it is going to be the defense in general. And Myles Garrett, as the Browns have liked to say during his, campaigning for Defensive Player of the Year, he is the best player on the best defense. So I do think him producing and getting some of that sack production back is going to be huge. Like Mary Kay said, he was on there with a shoulder thing, a hamstring thing, at least right now. So it's interesting because obviously those two things can definitely impact him given his bend and his speed that he uses. So I'm really curious to see if, he's going to look a little off or if everything is just going to be well and good at this point and it's just your typical nagging stuff at this point in the season and they're just not taking any chances, which, I wouldn't blame them at all for doing that. That seems to be the smart thing to do during a practice week.
Okay, there's some of the big news from today in Berea. I was stuck at home with a furnace issue, so Mary Kay and Ashley, you can see all their reporting from the day. You can find it all at cleveland.com/Browns.